The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. So The Alchemist tells the story of a young boy named Santiago, and he is a shepherd in Andalusia, in Spain. This book suggests that each person is unique and so has their own unique personal destiny, a very personal religious experience. He's leading his flock in Andalusia, and really early on we get a sense that he has a deep connection with these sheep. He understands something akin to language with them, some form of communication. And then very quickly we learn that for the last few days he has been obsessing over the thought of a young girl with raven hair whom he met the year before, and he's about to meet her again. He sells wool to her father, and her father is a merchant. And another fact about the boy is that he likes to read, and so we get this little anecdote of how he encountered this girl last year, and he impressed her with his ability to read. And so he regales in this story, this girl, of some of the books he's read and some of his travel. But he's getting excited because in a few days' time he's going to encounter her again, and he's concerned that she's forgotten him. And after we hear this story, the boy wakes up in the church and he imagines what it would be like if he slaughtered all of his sheep. So he has a pretty vile thought because he believes they're wholly dependent on him. The boy was surprised at his thoughts. Maybe the church with the sycamore growing from within had been haunted. It had caused him to have the same dream for a second time, and it was causing him to feel anger towards his faithful companions. And this spot, this church, is very important. And we'll realize it later. And once again, spoilers all throughout this, because I'm about to ruin the ending. But basically, this church is where he will find his wealth at the end. But remember, it's really about what happens through this journey, the changes that make this personal legend and his destiny worthwhile. And he's having this dream in this church, and it's being spurred by, I guess, proximity to his treasure. And one of the conflicts in this book is, so long as the boy is not following his dream, he's in conflict with that. He has these vile thoughts, and he can become very disagreeable and ill-mannered. And it all stems from him being unhappy with his position, with what he's doing. But at this moment, I think his proximity to the treasure is making him feel restless. And it's almost like this restlessness, this anger for his sheep is what is helping drive him away from the things that he thinks that he has to hold on to for the rest of his life. So in some way, like, this strange, sudden onset of anger is helping to propel him. Soon after this, he gets irritated that he has to carry the jacket. Once again, this disagreeable attitude because he's not following his dream. And we get this. We have to be prepared for change, he thought. The jacket had a purpose, and so did the boy. His purpose in life was to travel. This idea is going to be a recurring theme. Each item has a purpose, and it needs to move in its journey towards its perfected state. And as he realizes that what he really wants to do is travel, and he kind of had this realization with the jacket, that each thing has its purpose. He has a purpose. Contrast this whenever he thinks about the girl with the raven hair, the merchant's daughter. He recognized that he was feeling something he had never experienced before, the desire to live in one place forever. With the girl with the raven hair, his days would never be the same again. This is actually not the correct path for him. As easy it is for him to believe it, and everybody else, I suppose, just believes it, just takes it for granted. He is not meant to be with her. He is abandoning his dream at the onset in order to be with her. He will later, as he progresses on this journey, realize that love, true love, is not meant to be tied down. So he needs to journey away from these things, break these ties, because this book is making the point that love is something much deeper, much more pure than just what he feels. Maybe infatuation for the girl with the raven hair. He had already seen many castles and met many women, but none the equal of the one who awaited him several days hence. But what hasn't he encountered? Who hasn't he met? He hasn't sought out one that could be more perfect. Later he'll learn that the love that he finds with Fatima is more pure. It's more pure because it allows each of them to live free. And also another point that's already being made here is that contentment, this contented life, which is being critiqued very subtly, contentment makes one less likely to take risks and to make journeys and to do what's necessary to follow their personal legend. A little while later, he's talking to his father because he's becoming more compelled to make his own personal journey. Take to the fields, and someday you'll learn that our countryside is the best and our women the most beautiful. What his father's doing here is not embarking on his personal quest. And so he has made up fictions to tell himself, so he feels better, so he doesn't have to cope with the distress that comes from abandoning what you really wanted from life. The boy could see in his father's gaze a desire to be able himself to travel the world, a desire that was still alive despite his father's having had to bury it over dozens of years under the burden of struggling for water to drink, food to eat, and the same place to sleep every night of his life. And another recurring theme that doesn't always happen, but it does often in the story, is as the boy progresses along his journey and gets closer, he encounters people who are proportionally close to reaching the end of their own objective in life. And here at the beginning, the boy is in the presence of his father, who has outright abandoned his personal journey. There's another line a little later on, that ever since he had been a child, he wanted to know the world, and this was much more important to him than knowing God and learning about man's sin. The boy had been in a seminary, but he got bored of that and he wanted to go travel. So this traveling is extremely important to him. And I think one of the points the book is making is that he, on the surface here, seems to have rejected religion. Couldn't have found God in the seminary, he thought, as he looked at the sunrise. But ultimately, the boy will find God, just in a very unique personal way. He will learn about man's sins. He will develop a relationship with God. He's not even going to seek it out. He's seeking out the things that he wants, which is travel and wealth. Once he starts to realize this stuff, he makes an interesting observation a little later on. He's still with his sheep. He's still in Andalusia. They don't see the fields are new and the seasons change. All they think about is food and water. Maybe we're all that way, the boy mused. Even me, I haven't thought of other women since I met the merchant's daughter. So he's taking small steps, but even in this small step, he realizes what other possibilities could await. As soon as I found the girl with the raven hair, I just settled on her. Could something be better, more pure? So what he's realizing is that he has become, with her, the girl with the raven hair, complacent, just as other people become complacent and settle down. And I think what the author intends by complacency is complacency eradicates and forgoes any other possibility. And in doing that, it holds one claim above all others without knowing what those possibilities are. Santiago is also starting to realize that sameness creeps in. So the boy continues on his journey. It's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting, he thought. And this is interesting, because this is exactly what later the crystal merchant is going to think as well. It's not right for the boy. He is once again sort of latched on to the wrong thought. The purpose of a dream is to follow it to the end. That's the point of this story. What this represents is this is merely the spot or the position he's at in his journey. depending on where you're at, you think different things and have different beliefs about what it means to follow a dream. So the boy wants to seek out this dream that he had. He saw himself in Egypt and near the pyramids. People said that gypsies spent their lives tricking others. It was also said that they had a pact with the devil and that they kidnapped children and, taking them away to their mysterious camps, made them their slaves. And I think this is just another consequence of the boy not having completed his journey. And because he hasn't done that, he just feels insecure about his position in life, his status in life. And because he's resentful and angry and afraid, and he hasn't conquered these emotions, we see outright prejudice against the palm reader and this whole group of people simply because he's heard wild tales about them. And he walks in to this palm reader's tent afraid. And we see a lot of themes rise up here when you see he gets a reading. And it's a dream in the language of the world, she says. And this is an important theme much later, but we saw it earlier in his deep communicative ability with his sheep. We also learned that she doesn't know anything about the pyramids, and she also doesn't know much about the language of the world, which signifies to me maybe she too has not completed her personal journey, because this is the wisdom that one would uncover. And as soon as the boy gets to reading, he's irritated. He's angry again. So the boy's disappointed. He decided that he would never again believe in dreams. And also, another trick, the boy thought. So after this reading, he's wandering around the streets of Tarifa, and he's brooding in his own misfortune and what he perceives as misery because he thinks he's been tricked and he thinks he's a dumbass. And I think one of the points is that the reward that awaits anyone at the end of their journey is just so far that it's almost, to a lot of people, no reward at all.